Alright, so this isn't to be high up on my horse or anything. It's just an idea. So, you can do something where you make an array and build the world with an array. Or you can use like a number generator. So, if you do the array thing, usually you get to a certain point in the games like, oh fuck, infinite vectors, and it starts to generate the terrain, and the player can see it. Well, it's a good way to get around that, and I'm not saying this is the all-encompassing way and the truth and the religion of the number generator. I'm not saying that, but if you build a number generator, and I made mine pretty simple, and this notice, like if I did an array, there would be like 4 arrays here. Instead, I just put in a simple script, and it builds the numbers for me, which is my math problem. My math problem is the same as it would be the exact same if I were to build an array. Like if I did an array, that would be the math problem, except for these little text symbols. But notice how this is still loading. If you build an array that goes up to 10,000, 30,000, 100,000, whatever, this is not because of engine limitations. It's not because of computer limitations. It's because of how time is calculated. And so a computer reads numbers instantaneously. I need to remind everybody of this. A computer, if you had 100,000 lines of code, reads it in like 1 millisecond. But a computer, 1 millisecond 100,000 times is a lot longer. So, as the numbers are being generated, about 30,000 of them, some people will be like, well, Godot wasn't meant for that, and blah, blah, blah. But no, it is, if you play it right, if you play it smart. Godot is meant for that, and I'll show you, like, these key features that people, like, there's always people who have a downside to it. But Godot is one of the only engines that can do what I'm about to do. Like, you know, like everybody's always comparing the performance and stuff like that and blah, blah, blah with the FBXs and all the shit and the physics all together. But have you compared vector creation performance? It's like, because the only comparable ones would then be Unreal. No, you can't even do that in Unreal. So basically, DirectX 11 ready engine. And I maybe CryEngine. But no, CryEngine comes packaged, so you can't even do that in CryEngine. So Godot is the only engine, or a DirectX ready engine, that you built yourself. And I'll show you why. I'll show you why in a second. You can do something like this in Unity, but it won't perform well. And I'll tell you it's because of C#. And you're like, well, I thought GDScript was slower than C#. It is, except for vector creation. I'll show you why. So if I go to the world and I wanted to do voxels, or I wanted to do a landscape, well, what I personally am trying to do is make an ocean. And I can make an ocean in Unity, but it does start to chug after it's big. Like if you make an ocean the size of Map Magic, it chugs. And the reason why is my entire, so like in a landscape, the entire method is in the ready function. And a procedural landscape, there's triggers in the process function. It's not necessarily the process function. But what if I said, fuck that, I want it in the process function? You know, maybe I'm being hard-headed. I don't know. But I decided to make 10,000 vectors. 10,000 vectors equates to, it's going to chug in the process. It's just the IDE. It's just going to do that. And that's not because there's too many numbers. It's because that's the list of numbers that go to the right. I tried to make it orderly in the top and the bottom, but I made it orderly on the bottom to show you what I did with it. So you'll see that there's triple the numbers here. There's 9999, and then there's another place where there's 99. You'll start to see double numbers, like 98, 98. There's triple the numbers here, so there's 30,000 numbers in there, plus another 10,000 numbers. So 40,000 numbers in the vertex library itself, which is something I'm a C++ programmer, so forgive me, I like to use .h, but I don't have .h, so I did .p. So I did .p, and this is the list of fucking variables, etc. It goes down to, no need to worry about it, it's in pastebin. That's the whole reason I created this, was so I never have to create it again. Now you could argue, well, it'd be a lot easier to make an array, but now that it's already made, it's gonna be a lot faster than an array. And so if I look for my camera, see where it's facing the positive direction, which is what my array is. Now I could take this, let me just go ahead and split this. This is gonna look weird if I don't. Now, correctly split this. If I would have moved my vertex sheet, my mesh, you would assume it would move to the left. And it does. It does. If I were to duplicate it, however, and move the duplicate, it moves to the left. Okay. So I don't need to have duplicate libraries. Where would I need to have duplicate libraries, though, is if this is supposed to be an entirely programmable sheet. I could add collision boxes, everything to any part of this. So you might be wondering, well, 100 is not a lot. Fine. Fair enough. 100 is not a lot. In fact, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This many gets us about half the world. 2, 3, 4. This many gets us about the full world. 10. So 10 times, that's 1,000. Circumference, if our view distance is 1,000, you gotta wonder. So 10 sheets gives us, I don't know, that many. About, now, a view distance of 500. Now, if we want to make a really good game, we kind of want to be somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000. So this many gives us, there we go. So that's 100. So 100 times, I don't know, I'll give you the math later. But that's 100, and 100 is, let me see if I have the time. I hope I do. Yes. 100 gives us, 100 times 100 is 10,000. So we can have a view distance of 10,000 that would fill up this would fill up the world. It's not chugging at all. And I can keep adding and adding and adding. We're in the hundreds. Let me remind you, we're already in the hundreds. I keep adding. I don't know. What is the max number of vectors I can think of? And this is the vertex library processing. So if it starts to chug, it's because of the library itself. It's not actually because of the vertexes. So 100 hundreds. So 1,000. We have 1,000 of these. They have 10,000 vectors, 100,000, million, 10 million vertices in here. Okay, so to prove my point, I have 10 million. It is chugging. But this would be like that screen right there in Blender or whatever would have never moved. To prove my point even further, I'm going to take the camera. I'm going to move the camera. Look how fast the camera moved, by the way. And the camera moved here. The speed, the FPS, hasn't dropped. That's 10 million vertices on an i5. And your array, I mean, it won't